You ready?
Oof. If I can create impact, it's great.
How do you choose those subjects and those stories?
That connection is very important. And how do you make it interesting?
I think you're one of the first artists I've heard at least admit there's an element of selfishness.
It's so important to be able to regularly check in with yourself.
Do you feel like the filmmaking, photography, kind of visual art space, using a camera essentially, is saturated?
Yeah, you need to pay rent and you need to make money and you need to provide maybe for a family. But if you have that underlying long-term vision or long-term authenticity, then you will get there eventually. You just have to walk the path. Have I found my purpose? I originally started filmmaking because I wanted to.
Jakub Chlouba is a documentary filmmaker and director of photography with huge curiosity and interest in telling meaningful human stories around the world. At the same time, his efforts to align his own visions with that of global brands is truly inspirational. Since childhood, he has been captivated by stories of people from distant lands leading different lives, and filmmaking allows him to see and experience life from different perspectives. As quite a brief episode, I could only have him in the studio for an hour, we talked about things of deeper significance. For example, what it means to be an artist, why feeling purposeful is important, how to make an impact, and the vitality of authentic narratives. He believes that storytelling is the essence of being able to make a positive and lasting impression on the world, and he certainly made an impression on me. I hope he also does for you. Enjoy. Welcome to the Moo podcast, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I know time is tight, so really appreciate you coming in for a quick hour. Hopefully we'll get you out the door, back on your way. Pleasure to have you, man.
Pleasure to be here.
Wanted to start with was just kind of an intro as to what you do and why you do it.
Sure. So what I do is documentary filmmaking. And the reason I do it is, one, I love stories. I love storytelling. But two, I also love experiencing life. And being a filmmaker, it kind of gives you this VIP ticket to different scenarios that you're interested in, whether that's cultures, whether that's people that you can meet, whether it's traveling. So for me, this is a big part of why I do what I do as well. It allows me to experience world from different perspectives without necessarily having to go and become, for example, a bicycle messenger. But I can go and I can make a film about that. I can immerse myself in the culture for a few weeks, or months, and through that basically gain life experience.
What is it about the storytelling part of it that hooks you so much, do you think?
I think that I've always loved stories. Since I was little, I always imagined that I'll either be an archaeologist or explorer.
Okay.
And then I became a filmmaker later in life. But I always liked that idea of I guess traveling, a lot of traveling and experiences, remote places, remote cultures, things that are out of ordinary to what we're used to. And then just visiting a place and just being in a place is not enough for me, because in order to understand culture, you need to understand where they come from, what is their story. And so that's why storytelling, because through stories, you can understand people, you can understand why they do what they do. And hopefully, if you learn how to tell those stories, then you can also first help them spread their message and hopefully create an impact. Maybe bring that story to someone in your country where you're from, and that person will be touched that story, and they will maybe think, that's interesting. Now I want to go and I want to experience something like that. So for me, storytelling is a way to, I guess, inspire people, whether that's the characters or the viewers.
Why then do you think it's important that A, people get inspired by that, or B, people are educated through your storytelling about different cultures, different human nature, different ways of life. What is that important that people are aware of that? And if so, why?
It is important to me. And
Okay.
I would say that because it is important to me, and because we live in a world that is, there's a universal consciousness. We as humans, we have things in common. So I would hope that if certain stories connect with me, they will also connect with other people around the world. But the stories I'm telling, I realized recently, especially, you could say there's a little bit of selfishness, maybe, but I'm telling certain stories because I want to tell them. I'm not thinking about the viewer at the other side in the first place. I'm thinking about my curiosity and where that curiosity can lead me. But because I know that we have a universal experience in this world, I know that these stories will hopefully relate and connect to other people around the world as well.
Yeah, I think you're one of the first artists I've heard at least admit there's an element of selfishness, right?
Yeah.
But as humans, I'm sure, because I share a lot in common with you, certainly in the subjects and the topics that we shoot. Mine's just photography and yours is video. But I think having that selfish curiosity, and selfish is probably the wrong word, maybe self-interest, right? That, well, if I'm interested in this, there's going to be even 100 people, let alone 100,000, 100 million interested in it. So you kind of don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I think the difficulty, and we'll talk about this in a minute, the difficulty is getting that story out there in front of people, right? Because that's what we all face, the challenge, right? And okay, social media is one thing, but just getting stuff out and getting it in front of people. How do you do that? What is your kind of tactic or strategy? And okay, guys, this is my voice. This is my story. Enjoy.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, social media in that can help, definitely. And that's one way I do it, through my YouTube or through other channels. Another way with films is festivals. If you can get your films to good, high quality festivals, then you can be sure that the story will be spread, will be shown to other people. But for this, sometimes it's difficult to do everything by yourself. So I think it's extremely important to team up with people, team up with the right producers, acknowledge that you're not good at everything, and focus on the things that you're good at, and find people that can help you with the things that you're not good at. Because that way, through collaboration, I believe through collaboration, you can achieve so much more. And it ties to spreading those stories out as well.
I'd have to have a huge team if I have people that do things that I'm not good at. I'm just not good at so
I don't have that. I don't have that team either, but so far from my experience, when I do find that person, it goes back to that curiosity, right? So we're maybe curious about storytelling and sharing those stories. So you need to find people that are actually curious about spreading these stories, people that are curious about festivals and how can you spread messages, how can you use social media or other platforms to basically get stuff out. And there are people like that, but it takes time to find them.
Tell us a little bit more about film festivals. I know you've entered some of your... By the way, I should have said this at the start. Your stuff is amazing. Like your films are wonderful. I love your style. I obviously love the places you go and the stories you tell. I'm just envious that I'm not with you. But how do you? I know you've entered some before and you've had some awards or accolades.
Yeah.
I was going to say accolades. Accolades. Tell us about that experience and your history with film festivals.
Yeah. So the history is not very big. Okay. It was the past 2 films maybe that got to a few festivals. And, I would say that a few years back, you would really need that person who knows where to send stuff, and reach out and talk to festivals. But now with internet, there's a few platforms where you can literally just sign up, upload your film, and then you have access to thousands and thousands of festivals where the only thing you need to do is pay a fee. But of course, you need to think about the quality of the festivals, because there's thousands of festivals that are small, and even though being acknowledged by those, it's helpful and it's beneficial. I feel like it's a little bit becoming like people just want to slap this festival logo on their film in order to be able to say that they made it to a festival. But they don't really think about the quality of the judges and about the quality of the people behind the festival. You know, has it been running for a few years? How well is it recognized internationally? And so on and so forth. So, and maybe I'm not the best person to talk about festivals because I haven't made it to so many yet. But I would say that especially this film about the cyclist had a really good feedback, not only from festivals, but from directors that I look up to, you know, from filmmakers that I look up to.
It was amazing.
And I think that's what matters. If even if you don't make it to festivals, if you can get that film to the right people, maybe the people that you look up to or people you want to work with, and they appreciate it, that can even do so much more for you than having that, you know, having that little festival logo on your work. And then obviously, if you talk to producers that focus on this, they could really help you to get to bigger festivals. But that comes with, I think, connection, you know, knowing people.
You use it almost as a marketing tool, right? Or a networking tool.
And, you know, if you want your films to have impact, if you're focused on impact, then festivals are a good way to go as well. Because there's so many festivals that are focused on impact, you know, environmental festivals, wildlife festivals. For example, Jackson Wild is one of those. And if you can get your films to those festivals, it will get in front of thousands of people, which can not only help you with your career, but more importantly, help you with creating the impact that you maybe had in mind when you made the film, you know?
So you talk about impact a lot. Define that for us. How would you measure impact from one of your films?
So I think there's a few ways. You know, of course, you could measure impact even just by touching people. That's one way, and it's a great way to do it.
Not physically.
No. only if they, not physically. But
well, maybe a hug.
Yeah, maybe if you screen it, you know, maybe if you screen it and then you have a director's talk, maybe that would be shake a hand or whatever. But I think that there's also a lot of kind of impact measures that you can implement into, I don't necessarily want to say into your films, but into the distribution of your films, right? And that could be making a film about the topic that is close to you and then launching a crowdfunding campaign based off the film and raising money for an NGO. So that could be quantitative impact, right? Because you could measure how much money you actually raised for an NGO, which could then lead to positive impact on the ground. That could be one. Festivals could be another, you know, in front of how many people it got. Another one could be, this is something I haven't done, for example, but my friends are doing it, is where when you're actually raising money for the film, even if it's a documentary, you use part of that money to create an impact project, and then you make a film about that. You document how that impact project happened, and then you can use that film again to raise more money because you show what you already did, right? Yeah. So you have a use case.
Yeah.
So that's another way.
I mean, there's a level of assumption, right?
Yeah.
That you put, you pretty much know. I mean, festivals are a little bit different, but you can gauge the amount of people that are there. But online, it's easier to analyze how many people are seeing your stuff. And then you kind of assume an X factor on top of that because people will pass it on. Or if they're at the festival, like, maybe half of the people there watching it actually listened properly and watched. Maybe half of them then actually thought about it. And then maybe half of them are actually going to make a change or do something about it or help or reach out. Then you can really like assume a level of impact.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of, I guess, presumptions involved.
There is, but I think that if you have a good funnel, after for the distribution, then you can measure it a little better. And then another thing you can do is actually, let's say that you make a film about poaching. So then you could think about, what are the organizations that are actually interested in this topic or they're developing some work in that topic? And can we use their channels to spread the film? Because these people will have thousands and thousands of people on their channels that are interested already in poaching. And if you can get the film to them and then maybe have a after campaign that leads those people to whatever fundraising, or take some sort of action, then you're kind of already a step ahead because you're talking to people that are anyway interested in these topics. So working with organizations, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. But I'm still figuring it out as well. It's not like
we all are.
Yeah, it's a process.
Do you feel like the filmmaking, photography, kind of visual art space, using a camera essentially, is saturated? Do you think it's really difficult to kind of get into and get your break?
I guess it depends what breaks mean for you. If it makes making it on social media, then I think it's difficult. If you want to achieve it from a place of integrity and your true values, it's not that difficult if you're willing just to follow an algorithm for a year or two and create content that performs well. But then I think that then you jeopardize that integrity, or that authenticity that comes from you as an artist. And not everyone, because some people love creating that content, and for some people it is what actually fulfills them. But I think that a lot of people, because of the social media these days, they just want to make it there, They just want to gain the followers and then turn it into profit straight from the beginning without actually going through the journey, through finding themselves, because it's a process. You need to find yourself as an artist, I think.
We could go down a rabbit hole here because it's,
we could.
We've talked about this before a little bit, and I guess it is a debate. It doesn't have to be, but social media is both good and bad and depends on how you use it, right?
Definitely.
But is there a responsibility on professional filmmakers, photographers to not dilute the industry and to not dilute artistry and to make sure that they're not chasing the algorithm? Because the more we chase the algorithm, the more we give people what we think they want, the less chance it has of going back or changing or being more integral to true art. I don't know. There isn't an answer, and people definitely have different approaches. But if we all did that, then maybe art, certainly in photography and filmmaking, doesn't exist anymore, because very, very small portion of the content you see on social media, I would call art. Now, people have wide ranges of definitions of art. Well, it's art, it's anything could be art, right?
Yeah.
Okay, again, that's subjective as well, and that's the beauty of it. But when people have the wrong intent with a piece of art, then I don't see that ending very well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think that, and again, that this is subjective, right? But I think that art is, as I said, is something that you're not creating for acknowledgement. You're creating for yourself, Maybe it's an acknowledgement that comes from within. And social media almost works the other way. It's almost like two different things, right? Whereas on social media, you usually create for the viewers. And that's okay, because if you want to grow, you need to bring value to people, right? But I feel that then you have to be able to, maybe I give you an example, right? So I have a YouTube channel and I'm building my YouTube channel as well. And the way I think about it is I focus on bringing value to people, right? So I focus on creating content for the platform. But I'm doing it because I hope that if that succeeds, then that will give me more opportunities to create the art that I want to create without necessarily, pitching clients and having clients oversee a project and so on and so forth. So I'm using that social media thing in order to be able to create something that really matters to me and that I could really focus on project that can have impact and that fulfill you as an artist, as a creative. Now the question is, maybe if more people would be doing this, and this would be their goal. I'm using social media to get freedom, to gain creative freedom. Then you can't say it's wrong, right? You can't say it's wrong or bad or good. But I feel that a lot of people does the social media because they look for that acknowledgement. They look for attention.
Dopamine. Yeah.
Attention. Yeah. It's dopamine.
Yeah.
And then
Give me love.
yeah. And then you end up in that loop, you get caught up in it, and then who knows, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you're like, what have I been doing?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely true, and I totally agree with you. It's all about the intent of why you use that piece of software.
Yeah.
And it's software at the end of the day, and they're not real people. They are real people, but they're not your real fans. The small proportion of them are, and will probably be loyal to you. But if you're going into it using it as a tool, and I'm the same. Like I want to post my photos because I'm proud of them. But if there's a byproduct of that allows me to generate time and money freedom down the road, then great. That's the tool that it's going to be. It's the same with YouTube as well. So
yeah.
YouTube is social media, by the way. I know people talk about social media like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube as well. That's like one of the biggest social media platforms. It's social media. So yeah, I think the intent behind it is absolutely massive. And my problem comes when people don't acknowledge the effect and the collateral damage that it has on art or artistic influence and us being able to see other amazing artists that don't have a shitload of followings, that aren't influential, that aren't like chasing algorithms so we see them all the time on the feed. I want to see those people. I want to see, people that really like with a voice and a story and a different take on something and just real creators. That's what we want to see as artists. I'm sure of it. So if people go onto social media and say, "Oh no, I'm doing this because this is my art," you're fucking bullshit. Like you are creating, and I know so many people that have done it, and then they get a year or two down the line in that loop, right? And they go, "Fuck, I don't like this anymore. It's not providing value to anyone, real value, not like dopamine hit value, like real impact value." And they kind of lose their way, they lose their voice, and they regret. Like they look back and go, and this is probably a handful of people that I know. They look back and they go, I was just creating for the algorithm, and I don't like myself. I've done it as well. I think we've all done it at some point. We've tried little things like, oh no, I'm not comfortable with this. So yeah, I think I'm digressing a lot from my original question, but
no, but I think
it does get me.
Yeah, I think what you touched on, especially the intent and like being intentional, that's very important. And then you spoke about honesty as well, and I think it's so important to be able to regularly check in with yourself and being honest with yourself on the things that you're doing, whether that's art or whether that's how you live your life, whether that's your job, and really be able to say, okay, I'm not happy with this. How can I change that? How can I do something to align more with why I started originally? And for me, it's been the case as well. It hasn't been the case with social media so much, but I originally started filmmaking because I wanted to tell stories and bring stories from different places and different cultures around the world to people. But then eventually, through following a lot of commercial productions and what other people are doing, I kind of got this idea of I want to become a commercial director, or I want to focus more into commercial work. And I tried a little bit, but if it doesn't align, it just doesn't align. And for me, it's very difficult to go against something that doesn't feel aligned within me, and that's where you then need the honesty. You need to be able, I don't care that everyone else is doing it, but it doesn't fulfill me. I don't want to be doing it, and make the steps to change something.
How do you balance that? Where does the balance between paying your bills every month and doing something that is purely a personal passion, right? Yeah. Is that always a conflict you have?
Yeah, it is a conflict, but I must say that the past year has been, the more I align, the more works come to me the more work comes to me that is aligned with what I want to be doing. More documentary projects, more impact projects. And so it is actually working well, even though you might think you have to be looking for commercial work, you have to do those commercial things. You have to sometimes, but I would say that majority of my work last year was impact oriented and documentary style. And it was because I said, okay, this is what I want to be doing, and this is how I want to present myself and brand myself as well. But I guess that maybe, of course, there's difference in the money you can make, compared to shooting a commercial that has $1 million budget. I haven't done that, but I know the money that you can play with. And then making a documentary series that has a $50,000 or $100,000 budget, But I realized that there's maybe another thing, like, I don't know how to say it. I never chased money too much. So if an opportunity comes and it comes to me, I'll probably accept it. But I'm not really chasing opportunities just for the sake of I need to make, X amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be doing jobs that maybe pay less, but they're much more fulfilling and allow me to keep building on what I want to be doing down the line, in 3, 5, 10 years, and how I want to be perceived, rather than just focusing on pitching and commercial work and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, I think. I mean, I think that a lot of people can't say it, either because of their life situation or because of the temptation, maybe, No,
yeah, there's definitely empathy there with people in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think knowing yourself is super important, right? Because if you know yourself, then you have a clear identity of what you love, what you want to do, what your purpose is. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you know that, then other people see it, right? In everything that you do, in your pitches, in your films, your output, your demeanor, your pitch decks, your emails, correspondence, whatever, people you meet, people see that and they want to work with those people. And so, maybe it is an element of manifestation, but I don't think it's just, people see authenticity. People see the realness in people. And if that is passion and that's passion for what they do, what they want to do, I think that's who I would want to work with, right? And the successful people that I see in this space, that's what they're like. They're like, no, this is what I love doing. This is what I'm going to do. And if you can't kind of somehow align with that, then that's okay. We're different, but we can't work together, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Easier said than done, obviously.
When
the rent is hanging over your head. And
of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely, Yeah. And again, right, here we have to be understanding. You have to be understanding with yourself and with others that, you need to pay rent and you need to make money and you need to provide maybe for a family. But if you have that underlying long-term vision or long-term authenticity, then you will get there eventually. You just have to walk the path. I think it's a journey. It's not just a destination. But
yeah, exactly. There's try and enjoy the process while you can, and know that, like you said earlier, you're not good at everything and you never will be, but you can improve at one thing and just keep on going, having that belief, which is difficult. Hey guys, before I let you continue with the video, just indulge me for a few minutes. I want to briefly talk about my new brand, Yearning. Founded with my business partner and photographic artist, Finn Matson, we're proud to bring you a new artisanal jewelry and specialty coffee brand. Yep, what on earth do they have to do with each other or anything at all? Well, they're both our passions. They've always been another artistic outlet for me, now for over a decade. So for those that know me, coffee has been my other obsession since I was young. And as a result of it, I'm a qualified SCA coffee specialist. So when I met Finn, some of you might have seen my podcast with him when we barely knew each other, our love for art and jewelry had a home. And that home is here, House of Yearning. Yearning is, amongst others, an artisan jewelry label, and it's all about the art of intent for everything that we do. Our intention with Yore was to add a touch of celestial elegance and artistic expression to our visual narratives. Every jewelry piece is a statement, a reflection of your unique story and purpose. It's not just about jewelry, it's a wearable piece of art that speaks volumes. Picture this: silver or gold adorned with an actual piece of lunar meteorite. That's right, straight from our moon, making every piece as unique as the moments that we usually capture through our lenses. From limited edition lunar jewelry pieces to finely crafted 925 sterling silver and gold rings, pendants and chains, there's something for all of you in our unique designs. We're also committed to the environment as much as possible. Our coffee is direct trade, organically produced and locally farmed, minimizing impact on the environment as much as possible. Our jewelry packaging is all sustainable and recycled, other than the moon rock, of course. Proudly eco-friendly in both packaging and jewelry production, you can feel good about looking good. And to top it off, we offer free worldwide shipping, ensuring that a piece of lunar beauty can grace your collection no matter where life takes you. And if you ever find yourself here in Bali, please come and visit us. Our cafe and community-driven art house is a haven for creatives just like you. So before we head back into the video, please just take a moment to explore Yore's collection. And as a special treat for you, my wonderful audience, Yore is offering an exclusive discount. Head over to our website and use the code below for a 10% discount off your jewelry purchase. The link and details are in the description. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I'll let you get back to the video now.
Tell me a little bit about your purpose. I mean, I think you've kind of explained it anyway up to this point, but how important do you think it is for people to have a purpose? Is there such thing as a purpose? Is it just a label? You know, how do you see that whole kind of thing?
I think it's important to feel purposeful, you know, and I think that's a good question to ask. Like, do you feel purposeful? And for different people, it can look different way. But I think that we as humans are looking for purpose in life. You know, we're looking to do something that makes sense to us. So I would say that I am trying to live purposefully. You know, have I found my purpose? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll never say, okay, I found my purpose and that's it. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, you know? But I definitely think that the way I'm going is going somewhere that is fulfilling, that makes me feel purposeful. And the way I do it is that I follow my curiosity. Yeah, so I think this is something that maybe more people should do. If you can follow your curiosity, I think that it will inherently lead you to the things that can bring you purpose in life, you know? If I would say if maybe I would describe what my purpose is now, I think I love helping people. And if I can do it through my films, if I can do it through my YouTube channel, that's definitely something that makes me feel purposeful. And right now, filmmaking is the way I do it, you know, I tell stories, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen or not, but I'm also open to this changing in the future. If there's a different way that I suddenly can help people or that makes me feel purposeful, I don't want to just get stuck in the box, oh, I'm a filmmaker, you know, or I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
But I want to be open to whatever the life might bring you. You know, maybe you will become a father and suddenly that's your purpose. You know, you will feel purpose through that. Maybe you will have an experience in life that will completely shift your perception of the world and shift your purpose. And that's how I think there's a level of openness in this, you know.
That's a really mature and I say mature, not in a condescending way. It's just that's a really good way to be open about it and have an open mind. Like, you know, I want to do this now, but there's nothing to say in the future. Things will change. I mean, look at the last few years. COVID changed so much for everyone. Me included. You know, what's my purpose? Things have changed now. Like the whole landscape. It caused a lot of introspection and So things change in your mind, and something like that will happen again for sure, whether it's an externality or something within your own personal circle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a good way.
I think that's why I don't like just what's your purpose, but rather, do you live purposefully?
Yeah.
Do you live with purpose?
Yeah.
On a not everyday basis, but do you try to live with purpose?
Yeah.
And that can change as you change, or anything in your life changes.
And I think having that as a goal instead of success.
Yeah.
I want to be successful. Well, what does that mean? Do you feel successful?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Define it. It's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Is just money, or is part of your success feeling like you've made an impact, right? Looking back, maybe leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
Is something like that important to you? Like when you're gone, or you stop doing this, or you move on to something else, or your purpose changes and you take a different direction. Is it important to you to leave something behind where you can be kind of, I don't know, feel proud of a body of work?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think about that too much. I rather think about, I don't think about legacy too much. If I can create impact, it's great, but I don't need people to remember me. I don't need people to say, oh, this is something Jakub did. But if,
Yeah, interesting. Because I don't need the recognition from other people, but I would love to, I guess it's kind of the collector in my mind, to like collect a body of work over time. And then when I'm old and, not shooting anymore, I'd love to be able to look back on that and go, oh, this is my life's work. And I'm super proud of that. Fuck what anyone else thinks other than my loved ones maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's this like thing, collect a lot of this stuff and then hopefully be proud of it. It's weird. But I'd love to be liberated like that. I was like, oh no, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I think for me it's more about the experiences that I can collect through my projects or through my travels. But not. I don't have this sort of. I like it though. I like it, because it's very nice to then be able to, especially if you print the photos, you bring
nice
things from your travel.
Yeah,
but maybe. Maybe it comes with age,
Maybe, yeah. I'm getting on.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experiences and how you translate those experiences into stories, and how what really gets me is how such incredible filmmakers like yourself translate stories into a piece of art.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't have a house to talk about this, but maybe you'll break it down in YouTube one day, but maybe the technical aspects as well, but also kind of the conceptual aspects of how you take a story and give us a beautiful short film about it.
Yeah. So you first have to think about, I think with photography is a little different, but with film, because it's might be a few minutes or even an hour long thing, you really need to think about what makes a good story. And for me, what makes a good story is having a human character, and someone who either wants something, someone who's very dedicated to achieving something, someone who's obsessed with something, someone who's trying to overcome an obstacle in their life, or maybe overcame an obstacle and you're documenting how they did it. But you basically need someone who wants something or is struggling with something. That makes for a good story, because that's something that we can connect with as humans, And it's same if you would look at superhero movies, right? You will not be attached to a superhero that is all perfect, has all the powers and doesn't struggle with anything. But usually you connect to superheroes because they struggle with something. Spider-Man didn't stop the thief, and that thief then killed his uncle. And that's his dark thing that he struggles with, right? So then he feels that he has that responsibility to actually fight evil. And it's same with any characters, with normal people, everyday people, with athletes. So for me, story is about someone who wants something and is trying to overcome it on their journey. And then how do you take it and how do you make it interesting? I think that comes to personal experience again. I will be telling different stories than you would be telling if you're a filmmaker, because usually those stories will be somehow navigated through my life experience, to what I connect with, to what I went through, And so it's very personal. I think that documentary filmmaking is very personal. And whenever we tell stories, it's important that we are connected to those characters, or at least it is for me. I even if there's a character who has an interesting story, but I'm not connected to that person, I can't make the film, because you have to spend so much time with these people. You really have to be interested in getting to know them, peeling off different layers, and this is very difficult to do if you don't connect with that person.
So how do you choose those subjects in those stories?
So the process starts with the topic. That's one way. If I'm interested in a topic, for example, in the case of the cyclist, I was interested in messenger culture. But that itself is not a story, that's just a topic. And so in order to make a film, I need to find a character. And the way I found a character in this case was that I immersed myself in the cycling culture in Buenos Aires. I went to a few meetups, I went to a few mechanics, people that make bikes, build bikes. And then through that, I met Anderson, And from the first moment, I connected with him. Like we started even though he doesn't speak English and I speak almost zero Spanish, but I don't know, you just know, something happened there and we connected. And then through a little bit of research and through trying to figure out what is his story, I realized that he actually has a story. So I have the connection, I have the character that I'm interested in, and he has a story, he's overcoming something, or he had a tragedy in his life. And for me, then that's a go. Like I can make a story about that, But that connection is very important. And research, for example, now I'm trying to put together a project in Nepal about Sherpa culture. It's very difficult to find a character that you connect with remotely. So we have a few candidates, but again, it's possible that I come to Nepal, I'll meet that person, and you don't click with that person.
And it's expensive to do a recce.
Right? Exactly. But I think it's the best way, or that's the best way for me to immerse myself in the topics that I want to make the films about, and then through that find a character. Yeah.
Tell us about your experiences coming up. I know you're heading to Congo. Can we talk about that? Or
we can talk about it.
Tell us a little bit about what you've got planned.
Yeah, so we are going to Congo for 3 weeks to make a 4-episode series about poaching. And going back to finding the right people, I was really lucky 2 years ago, and I found a producer who's an incredible guy. We put a project together in 2022 in Congo, and this is kind of a continuation of that, just making it a little bigger, a little more structured. And yeah, we're going to spend 3 weeks in Congo, sleeping in the jungles, going down the rivers, tracking elephants, tracking poachers, and then we're going to make a film about it.
Good. I hope you fucking catch some fucking poachers, cunts. Yeah. We're nearing the end of the allotted time we've got with you. We'll end with a couple of questions.
Sure.
One is from our last guest, Stefan, who you obviously know. He didn't know you were coming on, but he wrote a question for the next guest who he didn't know, which is you. Question is, what would you like to be remembered for? And I think I didn't even know. Okay. I just pulled it up.
No. Yeah. I think I would like to be remembered for how I interact with people. If I meet a person, I would like to be remembered as someone who treats people well and is kind. Yeah.
Love it. Well, I think you are. From my limited knowledge of you,
Thank you.
That's definitely something that I think you can be proud of. And the final question is our little tradition and lucky dip. There's actually one in here that I've asked before, which is a mistake. So I'll move that. Okay. So face down, just pick a card and then hand it to me without looking at it.
Okay. Let's do this one then.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
It's a good thing. Oh no.
Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Why do you exist?
Oof. It's a deep one.
It's a very deep one.
Why do I exist? I guess from a spiritual perspective, I exist because I wanted to have a certain experience in this world, and that's why I reincarnated. What is that experience? I'm not sure yet, but I think that would be the main reason why I came here. Like we all did, to experience something.
Do you mean anything or something?
No, I think that, maybe you could call it a purpose, but I think that we come here because there's something in this life for us, in this world, something that we want to still experience. And I think that when this ties together, that's why curiosity plays such an important role in finding a way to your purpose or being purposeful. And so curiosity will lead you there to that one. Maybe it's not a one thing. Maybe it's those experiences. And I think that's the reason why we all exist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you see the next 10, 20 years, both in the state of filmmaking and photography? And how do you see the state of the world in the next 20 years? Because, you know, for someone who wants to tell stories and make an impact for what seemingly is, you know, great causes, do you feel hopeful that we can reverse a lot of these issues that we're facing today? Climate change, plastic waste, poaching, animal cruelty, you know, the list is endless. How hopeful are you of that over the next decade or two?
I'm hopeful. I think that things can be reversed, and as a humanity, we've proven that, for example, with the ozone layers. You know, there's no ozone holes right now. So things can be fixed, but it requires everyone. You know, I think that if each of us can do something, that's one part of it, and it's important, but then it also requires the leadership. And currently, when you look at the state of the world, I'm not so sure if the leadership that we have is on the same wave as planet Earth. you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that has to change, and I think it will change, but it might be painful. You know, I think change is painful. You know, a birth is painful. So if something new has to be born and brought into the world, and maybe that's the way we live, then it's probably not going to go smooth as butter.
Maybe we all have to die. Maybe it's another dinosaur thing where the world resets.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and this is something that some people might consider a little too far-fetched, but are you familiar with human design?
God, I thought you were going to say flat Earth then.
No, that's the second one. No,
no, I'm not.
No. Okay, so I met with this guy in Ibiza. We were making an episode about him, and he's the founder of Gene Keys. Gene Keys are, you could say, a method that tells you that breaks you down as a person and tells you what are your shadow sides, what are your, I don't know, what's the medium called? It's like when you live in alignment, and then cities, which is like a higher frequency that you can live on. And it's based on I Ching. I Ching is a Chinese method, I don't know, 3,000 maybe years old, based on hexagrams. And because it's based on I Ching, there's 64 hexagrams in I Ching. So Gene Keys have 64, they don't call it hexagrams, they call it something else, but they call it keys. One of the keys, number 55, I believe, has a prophecy. And that prophecy is that in the year 2027, which is very soon, there will be a big shift in the way humanity sees the world and in the way we decide to live. The past 400 years were all about development, exploration, building, conquering, and so on. And the next 400 years from the 2027 is going to be the return. So they say it's going to be the return to nature, return to community, return to our values.
Brilliant.
But it's going to take time, and there's going to be people that will fight it, you know? But what should come at the end of it is basically a new earth. Is an earth where we live in one with nature, we live in harmony. The technology that we harness is our bodies, is the biology. It's not, it's not the devices outside of us. And I'm not sure if I believe it, but it's interesting to think about it, And I think that we can see the consciousness shifting a little bit,
I hope so. And it is incumbent upon, I guess, people like yourself. If leaders aren't going to say, I totally agree. I don't think anything will change without significant leadership.
Yeah.
because we're just all minions, and leadership has power and money, and very little can happen without that. But, you know, in our own little ways and our own creative, you know, artistic ways, we can hopefully change one or two people's minds, you know, and that's, if we all did that, the world would be a different place.
Exactly.
And on that note, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck with Congo. Super excited to see what you come out with. From them. When are we expected to see a film from Congo?
I think we're gonna launch it maybe in October.
Okay.
It's gonna take some time.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's gonna be mostly for Czech market because I'm going with the Czech crew.
Okay.
We're gonna have versions with subtitles, and we really want to focus on impact there as well. So there's gonna be a campaign. There's gonna be a VR screening of like different locations from Congo. It's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Cool. Can't wait to see it. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Have a great time. And, you know, we've just touched the surface here. So hopefully we can get you on again when you come back.
Yeah. Can share some stories from Congo later.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure, Matt.
Cheers. Thank you.